This is What a week.
What a week. PoliTricks.
Welcome back. It's another edition of Wow What a Week, hashtag PoliTricks, where the circus never leaves town. This week we'll check out what happened at the ANC NGC. There are ghost workers in the system. The UN have dropped the G word on Israel. And we'll look at any other business, according to Botsang Moiloa. My name is Fresh, and we have a show on our hands. Brother.
Good morning, Fresh. Another bumpy week.
Yo.
And there's no any other business. There's one business in South Africa. There's two businesses in the world.
Yeah.
One is the Madlanga Commission in South Africa, and another one is the resolution of the United Nations Committee on Genocide.
Sure.
But let's get into that.
Yeah, let's start with the ANC NGC. It's been a crazy week.
Yes.
They've been. I think they decided not to have a resolution on water and water issues until much later. There's the issue and the case of the DA running with a statement President Ramaphosa made.
Yes.
About DA-run municipalities and how ANC councillors could learn from the DA. Let's start there.
Actually, we thought that was the NGC because it overlapped to Monday when other senior members or leaders of the ANC were invited to the rollout. Was it called rollout? But it was
the roll call. The roll
call, yes.
Yes.
It was actually an NEC meeting.
But
they combined it because the NEC meeting happened over the weekend, and then the decision was taken that they will have the roll call of all ANC councillors from all over the country on Monday. But nonetheless, look, I think nothing much came out of the ANC NEC meeting. Many of us, we had expected that they will pronounce or come out with a plan for, the local government elections, the upcoming local government elections. Some political parties like the Patriotic Alliance and the Democratic Alliance, they've already pronounced their preferred candidates. The Patriotic Alliance have mentioned Mr. Kenny Kunene.
What are your thoughts on Kenny running for Johannesburg mayor?
Look, he has been a leader. The last elections, he campaigned for being the Premier of Gauteng.
But based on the past 2 months' developments.
Well, he was on suspension for 1 month and they haven't come back to us. Katie McKenzie of the Patriotic Alliance haven't come back to the nation and said, I'm placing him on 1 month suspension, and he never came back to us to tell us what happened, the investigation and all that. They just came out to announce that he's going to be the standing mayor of Joburg. And we already know that he will be contesting with Helen Zille from the Democratic Alliance. And Herman Mashaba of Action SA had said he will come back to politics and contest only if Helen Zille contests, but he hasn't pronounced on that. But the ANC also refused or failed to address what the nation had expected, or the Gautengers for at least, to address the issue of water crisis that the whole of Gauteng is experiencing. It's not only Joburg. It was so embarrassing that the SG of the ANC in front of cameras and next to the Minister of Water, when he was asked that question, he said, no, we're not going to answer for that. We will leave it, for the, election manifesto. So they're going to use the water thing. Clearly, that's what they're saying to us.
So generally, the PA have been making inroads. They've incrementally been growing.
Yeah.
Do you think the situation where Brakeni was found at a unfolding scene of an arrest will hurt his chances? And before that fateful day, do you think he would have stood a better chance at mayorship?
I think Mr. Kunene Kenny would have stood not a better chance for being a mayor, but for amassing quite a number of votes due to what he has done. He has acted as a mayor of Joburg several times, and he has made critical decisions during the acting period. However, he also would have done a little bit better because of the portfolio he occupied. The issue of him being the MMC of transport, he has made significant inroads. But the Patriotic Alliance has also been a growing organization. For many years, they've been going up. But I think what happened 2 months ago with regard to the arrest of, I think it was Moiloa guy and his presence, it would have dented him unless they bank on the fact that by the time local government elections come, all the queries and the mdlangas and all the processes that are happening regarding this allegation of General Mkhwanazi would have been completed and sealed. And if they do, and his name is clear that no, there was no an unbecoming behavior, then it will work to his advantage.
Sure.
But I think that at the moment there's a tent. If I was the PA, I would have not pronounced on him at this stage. I would have waited a little bit.
Because there's no need to rush it.
To announce who.
If it can wait.
Yes, if you can wait. You can say we are contesting. This is our manifesto for the local government elections. These are our targets. We want to win, but don't put the name to it. But they rushed to it, and they've put the Cape Townians may have the first youngest mayor, and from outside the Democratic Alliance and the ANC, because they've put the guy who left the DA to join the ANC as their candidate for the city of Cape Town. And I think the ANC also being silent, they are calculating, they're checking. But it didn't help them. What transpired on Monday, I don't think it's helping them.
You're looking for Liam Jacobs.
Liam Jacobs,
and
yes.
You know, because Liam Jacobs became a internet sensation and superstar because of the portfolio that he sat in and the way he grilled often government workers or people who are part of what are they called? Parastatals, etc. But do you think Liam would be able to take that magic to the PA and turn that into votes? Because they're two totally different kettle of fish.
They are, but look, I think that main thing in the DA and his character and what the PA believes in, it's about foreign nationals. And look, that grilling was grilling legal foreign nationals with work permits in South Africa. But the PA, part of their manifesto and agenda, is to push for South Africans first. You know, whether you have a permit, whether you've got a residence permit, they say, no, South Africans must come first. I think he will be able to run with it. There's challenges of employment in the Cape or in the Western Cape. There's talks as well that the colored community, and we know it's a fact, has been marginalized all over South Africa, but particularly in the Western Cape. They're bigger there, and they've been marginalized since even when the ANC was in power. So I think the Patriotic Alliance is looking at amassing those numbers even bigger, because they've been a growing party in the more than any other party. Everybody has been dropping. The PA has been increasing numbers.
Sure. And
I think being a young, colored, bright person with experience, I think he will be able to bring quite a numbers. The DA has bolted themselves very well in the Western Cape, particularly in the city of Cape Town. I don't see them being shaken to below 50%. I doubt it, but the PA will have quite large numbers in the Western Cape. I would not even be surprised if the PA in the city of Cape Town becomes the opposition party. Yeah.
Now, one of the big stories from this past weekend is President Ramaphosa citing, some argue, stats that show that the DA are performing better than the ANC in municipalities that they govern in. But it has turned into a storm of people saying, but why are you decampaigning your own party? Especially because you know that the DA will take anything and run with it that puts them in a better light.
Yeah.
And we saw it happening with the GNU, where DA ministers ran with projects that the ANC minister had started already.
Exactly.
But because they were at the finish line, they made it, they PR'd it as if to say, look at our ministers are doing. But the ball was passed to you. You were at the finish line already.
Yeah.
So we know that they PR everything. Did President Ramaphosa drop the ball, the proverbial ball, knowing who we are dealing with here?
Yeah, you know, Fresh, there's two sides of that story.
Yes.
And, you know, I once had a boss who always say, you're a typical diplomat. You agree with both sides. You can agree, you must take a side.
But two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah. One, and you know, earlier on, before we got on set, I was having a chat with Lati, and that's why he's sitting there. He says he's not going to miss this one. That I've put and applied my mind to what transpired on Monday at the roll call
Yes.
because of the ANC councillors. The president of the ANC, this time he was wearing the cap of the leader of the ANC, and they were addressing with the top 6 or top 7 of the ANC were addressing their councillors to say they are bad performers. They can't deliver what the people expect. They can't deliver what is in the manifesto of the ANC. And you know, they even used what I call bad words as leaders. When you are a leader, whether at work or a family leader who has a child who's not doing well at school, or even in politics, you don't go and ridicule the child or your staff members or your people in front of other people. You don't do that. There was nothing that would have stopped Mr. Ramaphosa to say to the ANC councillors, guys, we can't be beaten by the DA. We've been governing, we know this thing. We've done it well in some areas historically. They've performed well. It's not to say they 100% failed. There was nothing wrong in him putting it like that.
Okay.
But not in front of cameras. Don't go and ridicule your subordinates, your supporters, your members, your partners in front of cameras or in front of visitors. You know, when your child has done very bad in maths or any subject at school, you don't go and scream when guests are there or other kids, because it may demoralize them. And before I go to the DA part, it has come out now, actually as recent as Thursday, some members of the ANC councillors who were there are already calling for Ramaphosa to step aside because he has embarrassed the organization and he has given the Democratic Alliance flyers, you know, to fly and credit and all that.
But should he step down?
Look, it is happening. We saw that there was even a cartoon, you know, with President Ramaphosa wearing DA clothes. The Democratic Alliance issued through their leaders, DNHs, in a formal statement to say, but South Africans, we've been telling you that the Democratic Alliance is the future of the country, is the only hope. Even the president of the ANC has endorsed us. You see, if President Ramaphosa would have said in parliament or in government platforms that some municipalities are performing bad and mention the municipalities, not the political parties, I think he didn't read the room very well. Now, he was saying this in an ANC event. He's the leader of the ANC, and he tells his people that they are corrupt, they are incompetent, and therefore they must go and learn from the opposition. Now, some people are arguing fresh that the DA is no longer the opposition.
Yes.
They are in coalition with the African National Congress in the GNU. And President Ramaphosa forgot that he was wearing the ANC cap in an ANC event, not the national cap. And I think it is well within the right of the DA. I would have done what the Democratic Alliance did. I would have done it even more. I would have taken those clips throughout the day. I would have pumped it into the media and social media. They are not wrong. President Ramaphosa was right in what he said. But as I always say, is the where you say stuff and how you say it. You know, where it's in an ANC hall meeting with your local government elected people, and you ridicule them in front of cameras, and you made the DA to feast on your utterances.
Yes.
So is the how and where, and I think if I was a member of the ANC, I would have said, but this president, who is he leading? Is he leading us as the ANC? We deployed him into parliament. And you remember, those councillors are the ones who form the 400 delegates when they have the National Elective Conference. It's them who have put President Ramaphosa there, because they're leaders of branches.
Sure.
And I think that is what is wrong. But the content is factual.
Yes.
And it's based on many reports, particularly the Auditor General report. The Auditor General of South Africa, AGSA, is saying, it's not even saying the DA run municipalities. They audit all the municipalities of the country, and they found that 87% fresh, and the viewers, 87% of municipalities in the Republic of South Africa are not clean, are not doing their job, are failing even to deliver basics like collection of garbage, cleaning the streets, supplying water, including the biggest city in the continent, city of Joburg.
Yeah.
So you leave it there. You don't say this political party. He could have said that to say, guys, let's improve where we are ruling or governing.
Yes.
Let's work, let's pick up our socks. Don't go and tell people that they are corrupt and incompetent. Now, what is worse is, along the same lines, when the roll call happened on Monday, obviously the meeting gets opened by the chairperson of the ANC, Mr. Mkhwanazi. It started with the chairperson. If you look what happened,
Yes.
started with the chairperson because the president was doing the presidential address. The chairperson actually,
He was offensive, actually.
that was offensive. You know, to say to people, you can do it to just sing. We know you sing very well, and but content is dololo. And which means, for those who don't know what is dololo, it means empty.
Yes, vacuous.
So if you say you sing very well and loud, but there's no content, it's basically means you are an airhead, or you make more noise because you are an empty tin. You understand? And I think it was an insult. The two leaders of the ANC, the president and the chairperson, saying that to their members, whether they are wrong or whether they are right, that is not the issue. We have addressed the issue that they've demonstrated incompetency, they've demonstrated corruption. It's on record. It's not me who's saying it.
Is it not a sign of true leadership to be able to, once in a while, call yourself, call your comrades out in public, to say, guys, we are not going anywhere fast. So let me call us out. It's based on available data already.
Yes.
So the thumbs up, and your average voter already knows this. They already know this. I mean, I know comrades personally that vote DA in their neighborhoods because they know there'll be a better service delivery. But at national, they vote for ANC.
Yes.
I mean, it's common knowledge.
Yes.
So I don't necessarily think you're going to decampaign. However, the ANC we're going to do end of next year, I don't think will change based on that statement. It will change based on other things if they fail to deliver. I don't think that statement alone is enough to decampaign them personally. I think, if anything, it places Ramaphosa in a better light as a leader who's willing to concede, make concessions where you need to make concessions. But sometimes, yes, our pants are down, and we're saying, guys, our pants are down. Look at that child there. His pants are pulled up.
Yeah.
Can we pull our pants up?
He could have compared. I'm different with you.
Yes.
It is going to decampaign itself, and I'll tell you why. There's already several factions and unhappiness within the ANC.
Yeah.
And now we know, we don't care. The voters know they failed, and I'll vote Freedom Front Plus where I stay, not anybody else, or Action SA or the DA. We know that, as you said. But you look at the internal challenges of the organization.
Yeah.
That is the decampaigning, because the people are already calling for his head. The people will be more disgruntled. I'm saying, call me to order. Let's own up to our wrongs and failures, but don't humiliate me. Don't call me names. You understand? Don't insult me as my leader or a decisive leader. Don't do that. But he's also not owning up. He is the leader of the ANC. Mkhwanazi has been the leader of the ANC forever. Since I was born, Mkhwanazi has been the leader of the ANC. My question becomes, when did they realize that their councillors who took over office 4 years back are actually performing very badly? Because these AG reports are annual reports. Sometimes you even get quarterly, assessments or mid-year assessments, you understand? But annually, there's these reports. Why in the last minute of the second term of Ramaphosa with local government elections do they see such? That's one element. The second element is these people, we know they are deployed.
Yeah.
The ANC is a deployment committee. They decide not on who is capable in those branches, but who is popular, who brings more noise, who brings more numbers of people. And they deploy those people. Now, why do you get surprised when you have elected a noisemaker, somebody who shouts and talks more, and that person goes into the council clueless? We have had councillors who can't read and write.
Yes.
And they have to read budgets. You understand? I mean, you give a municipality millions of rents to somebody who has never even managed 1,000 rent. What do you expect? What did they expect as leaders of this? And they must own up to this. I've always said the ANC, when it suits them, they make decisions collectively. And then when it's time to do assessments on your collective decisions and implementation, they want to point fingers at each other. I don't care who says what, but let me tell you, there's something that the Ramaphosa has been very consistent with. And I don't know why people are surprised. That's one element is consistent. He has been bashing the ANC since I've known him, since I grew up. You look at, let me use an example of what Ntate Terali Kota once said in Parliament to say when they were arrested at Fort Day or for the Fort Day activities and on their way to Robben Island, Cyril Ramaphosa disappeared and vanished. I don't say it's true or not, but I'm saying something that was said in public. Vanished. He was in one night in prison in Pretoria. The next thing they end up in Robben Island, Ramaphosa is nowhere to be found. During the middle of the struggle, the 76 kids and all that, President Ramaphosa was funded to go to school by the Oppenheimers. And the very same people that we were fighting as liberation movements, they elected him, chose him.
Yeah.
So he has a bright spark. Will fund his studies, he will go to study. Fast forward, come 1994, President Ramaphosa, having been the founder or SG of National Union of Mine Workers, there are records that actually that union was created by the Oppenheimers to manage the miners. You go and you take President Ramaphosa, you put him in the forefront of CODESA negotiations and in inverted commas, co-writer of the South African Constitution. All in the name of what? Of white supremacists. He goes into business now. This is very key for me.
Yes.
President Ramaphosa went into business not as a deployee of the ANC like others.
He is a businessman.
As a businessman, where did he get the capital from? Who gave him shares in those companies? Was it the ANC? No, it was not. It was white capital. The ANC decides in Mangaung to bring President Ramaphosa back into politics because President Motlanthe wanted to contest President Zuma. So they are like, no, we've got our boy out there that we can bring back into politics. They bring him back. He takes over power in 2017 from the ANC, December Nasrec conference. That openly, it costed them 2 billion to run that conference. Where did the 2 billion come from? For those who have seen the statements, most of it came from the white capital. Again, they funded for President Ramaphosa to go up. And it doesn't end there. Then he starts insulting the ANC people. You know, I was telling somebody that on the first address to the nation that President Ramaphosa had after he took power in 2018, it was when the Zondo Commission had just started. For those who will recall, the Zondo Commission was formed and signed off by President Zuma, but he was recalled before it even started. So President Ramaphosa, February 2018, he took over power from President Zuma and he had to see over the Zondo Commission. The very first statement when allegations came out, before the commission even finished its job, just to say the allegations, he said to the ANC followers, members and us, the ANC is the number one accused of corruption in the country. And we clapped hands to say, now he's telling them the truth. So I don't know why they are crying when he's telling them they're incompetent. But he has been complaining about these things all along. He's running an administration at the moment, or leading it, that is under the GNU. We look at the witnesses, primary witnesses at the Madlanga Commission. The majority of them, who are they? The ANC leaders that were appointed by him.
Yeah.
So he has been consistent in telling the ANC or behaving in a manner that says the ANC is either corrupt or incompetent. But then ask yourself, why would you want to lead such an organization without turning it around? You are actually worsening it. Now you are lambasting them. And for me, that's my take, to say the president, like I said, if I was an ANC member, I would be humiliated and insulted. He could have done this better.
Should they have a commission of inquiry into his utterances? Because he's inconsistent.
He's the only person who calls for commissions of inquiries. They should take him to the disciplinary. Actually, the ANC is supposed to take President Ramaphosa and Tate Mantashe to the disciplinary hearing for insulting and invoking divisions amongst members.
I think President Ramaphosa, if anything, might have just stirred a pot that he should not have stirred in public.
Yes.
But I don't think he insulted anyone. If anything, it's Mantashe who insulted a whole room of people talking about the vacuousness, if you will.
Yes.
Now, before we wrap up with the ANC, the party says it will no longer back any leader accused of corruption.
Oh, yes. You know, the court, if you are accused of corruption, you are paying court.
Yes.
They will not back anybody up. They will not wear T-shirts. They've actually now formally banned. They've spoke about members going to court to support whoever their member is. We have seen it with Jacobs. Actually, this started during the Zuma time.
Yes, 100% Zulu.
100% Zulu. And it also became rallies for President Zuma when he was in court, when he was still in the ANC. And they remarked to the COMM members to say, you can support the comrade, but not in ANC regalia. Now they have officially said, you can't do that. You can't even support as comrades. We can't go to court and support. I don't know how they're going to do that when half of politicians, or more than half of politicians who are in courts or facing allegations, or even some are facing criminal charges, like Mapisa Nakula, the former speaker and the former minister of defense, she's facing criminal charges or corruption charges. Now, does it say that they are actually leaving their members out of this whole thing? There's quite a few of them who still have to face either legal proceedings from the Zondo Commission. But yeah, they're making very heavy critical decisions. And it's rough times and it's tough times for the African National Congress, for the ruling party.
Sure.
There is the infighting, as I said. Then is the opposition. Then is the voters. Understand? It's very difficult. But what they've done, they've given the Democratic Alliance publicity for free and credit. Yeah.
Let's move to the Madlanga Commission.
Yes, sir.
Because it's now been on for, 3 days?
3 days, yes.
And already day one seemed like, okay, we're kind of bored, but it looks like there'll be movement eventually, and there's movement in the afternoon.
Yeah, well, even on Thursday morning when they started, look, I think South Africans, we love drama. We expected fireworks and drama. I think in our minds, it was the July 6th public address, and that's what people expected.
Yes.
The mistake the public and the media people are doing is to forget that that's not a court of law, where names, evidence provided and all that. It is an inquiry to find if the allegations hold water or not. So it's not like people will be seeing witnesses being called and cross-questioned and cross-examined. It's not going to happen like that. But also it started procedurally correct. People were expecting Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi in camo or in police uniform, and he walked in there with a suit and a tie.
And a calmness that you cannot buy that calmness.
No, my brother, let me tell you what I saw there. I saw a seasoned administrator, not a police person, not a guy with rifles and a special combatant. But also I was impressed by the commission, the way they allowed him to time for his testimony.
Yes.
I didn't see a lot of interruptions. I didn't see them trying to restrict him what to say and what not to say. And I think also there's an element of friendliness amongst the commissioners and everybody else. But it started very well. In the afternoon of the first day, that's when things started moving. Because the morning they started talking mainly about his background, the legal procedures, the processes, who is who in the police and so forth. But once he started introducing some of the evidence, the very first evidence being that before he went public, and fresh, I've said, for me, that was the first highlight I picked up, that this is going to be interesting. So when he mentioned that before he went public, he knocked not once, not twice, more than 3 times at the door of the National Commissioner, who is his line manager, asking the National Commissioner to please set up a meeting with the president. I want to report the minister. And there was no response from the presidency. Not, many times that he tried so many times, and when nothing, there was no action and there was also no response.
Yes.
You understand? If the presidency would have said to Commissioner, Masemola, tell Mkhwanazi to calm down, we are handling this thing. At least there's a response. But they said nothing. They kept quiet. Then he says he knew he is breaking protocol because when there's a call in Parliament to say a certain ministry or department must come and address Parliament, the provincial commissioners, they give supporting information to the National Commissioner who will go and address Parliament as the CEO or the DG of the police with the Minister of Police. That's the protocol. Maybe with the head of finance. But he said he knew, even if they were going to Parliament, he was not going to form part of that. But because of the silence from the presidency, the ministry, and the National Commissioner, he decided upon himself to call or to get in contact with the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Police. to say, I'm strained here. I've got troubles. I've got challenges, not one, not two, and not only in KZN. And I'm talking to my colleagues in the Eastern Cape, in Gauteng, as well as the Western Cape. I am not getting help, chairperson of the portfolio committee. Can I come and address Parliament? Having have listened to General Mkhwanazi, the chairperson of the portfolio committee, and the portfolio committee decided to invite him to Parliament. Even after he addressed Parliament regarding these challenges that we all got to know about only on the 6th of July, Parliament did nothing fresh, nothing. And he says that's what frustrated him, to say protocol out the window.
I'm going rogue because everything that I tried was being shut down.
Yes.
Or not acted upon.
Yeah. And I don't even think he was rogue. I think, and today we can see that he did the right thing. When your principals, including administrative principals and political principals and legislative principals, are failing to perform their duties or to give you a hearing, what else are you left with? He's not being rogue. He's got a duty and a responsibility. And I think by doing that, he did well. The other smart thing that General Mkhwanazi did, and you know, I didn't know his age, and he started working in government with me, same year, 93. I could see the teachings of the old school. He kept record of everything. Where it is audio or video, he reduced it to paperwork. And that's how we were trained in the old school. If it's backed by material evidence, paperwork, and that paperwork, experts will confirm that this was Fresh's number, who called Mr. X 10 times or 19 times, and experts confirm. That's the best form of evidence you will ever have. And I think he helped himself by, and that's why the confidence, that's why you saw the posture, you know, at the commission, that he has done very well to arrive at this point.
Yes.
But for me, it's calling for the President of the Republic. Why would you, as the head of state, remember, I've said it before on this platform, the President of the Republic gets briefed every day fresh, every day, whether by telephone, telex, or in person, every day. What President...
So the finger is on the pulse every day.
Every day.
Okay.
The President Mbeki used to call it the early warning center. You know, the state security, the police, the judiciary, the MPA, and the military, that committee, you can call it NICOC, whatever, they brief the president every day of anything that happens that moves in the country. Now, here's a man who has first-hand information, is trying to brief the president, and the president ignores that person. For me, that's a challenge towards President Ramaphosa and Mr. Mkhwanazi. There's a challenge that they're faced with, to say, why did, with this damning info we know now, why did you ignore the voice of the man who wanted to do things by the book?
And I think it also says to future possible whistleblowers that vele as a whistleblower you're on your own, or that if you're trying to ungrease palms, you're taking food out of someone else's mouth, and they will make sure that the palms stay greased.
Exactly.
So this is another reason why people refuse to whistleblow.
Exactly.
Because not everyone will have access to the media might and muscle that Mkhwanazi had in order to pull it off.
Yeah.
For the average person, either Spanisa Fela, or all of a sudden you disappear into career obscurity. But what we know is you don't have a job.
And even the media muscle we are talking to, even if one has a media muscle, there's consequence of being a whistleblower. We have seen in this country, we have seen in these things that are coming out. Your life may be taken. You know, as you say, your career may be finished. You may be destroyed for having a big mouth or for talking against those whose hands are greased. But it shows the element of, I don't think the whole justice police system has collapsed. I don't think we are, but he is right when he says, and having have listened to the testimony, if this thing is not nipped now and nipped correctly, and we have the right people in those positions, we may find that this state is actually absolutely being run and governed by criminals or alleged criminals, or even people who are not supposed to be influenced. Let's call them influencers, people who influence. You are not elected into office. You are not a criminal, but because of your proximity to a political office bearer, you stand up making decisions. One example that he did is he is convinced that the letter to disband the political killing task team was not authored by somebody in the office of the minister. And he explained why. He explained that when that letter came out, where was the minister? The chief of staff said, no, somebody is doing it for the minister. The chief of staff of the minister told Mkhwanazi that somebody is doing it for the minister, but they never mentioned who. So I think they made him inquisitive, and he went out of his way to go and find out who are the people who authored. And remember, the allegation is criminals or alleged criminals got hold of that letter before Mkhwanazi and other trust team members were informed. So the alleged criminals had it before them, and it's part of the, the testimonies or evidence that is going to place before the commission. But on Thursday morning, he started then going deeper into what they call file MK2, Mkhwanazi 2, which is a file that has a lot of evidence that he has always said he will provide evidence to any allegation he makes. In conclusion on that matter, the highlight again for me, and one of the most important aspects, was when General Mkhwanazi was asked, are you the author of these allegations? And he said, I'm the co-author. I've authored my own founding affidavit or statement, but I'm the co-author of this. There's many other women and men in blue and boots who have contributed to this, and most of them will come forward. And I did expect that there's more people involved. The question is, are they brave enough to can show their faces like he is?
Yes.
But he said something very crucial to the commission, that some of the evidence that is going to be displayed there is part of cases going on in court, and therefore, in order to protect his colleagues and subordinates, he's requesting that some of the evidence should be presented in camera, in protection of the witnesses and or the those who compiled it. He said some for two reasons. One, some of the evidence there is for cases that are in court. I think most of them, but some it's people who say, I said this story, but I don't want to come out. And I can tell you, having been in the public service for years, it is very common, especially when you are a whistleblower. You will have all 30 people supporting you and giving you information. When it's time to go forward, and say, people are like, I'm not going there. Botsang, you go do this thing because you are not afraid to die or to be fired. No, they give you credible information, and that's where witness protection comes in. But let me tell you, Fresh and the viewers, no matter how, I always tell people, I will not go on any witness protection because you don't have your life anymore. You live like a bed. And if you deal with such rogue people who are trigger happy, who are connected from top to bottom, the business, criminal syndicate, police, politicians, imagine those people, they will find you.
Sure.
So when you go into that program of disclosing info, exposing corruption and maladministration, just be prepared that your cremation money is ready or your box it's ready, but you will never live a normal life again. And people have to choose whether they want the truth and to die for the truth like Mkhwanazi, or I'm not getting involved. I'm going to sit in my back corner and enjoy my salary and pension.
In fact, speaking of death, let's talk about ghost employees in the public service. We keep hearing this story of how in the public service, in a certain department, that have 10 people, but there are 15 salaries that are going out.
Yeah.
That money is going somewhere.
Yes.
And often these systems are such that we can prove that Botsang got his money. We can prove that someone else got that money. But there's still 5 salaries that are over and above the 10 that are leaving the system.
Yes.
How are we not nipping this in the bud at this stage in the game?
Because those who are supposed to nip it in the bud are the ghosts. And that's my view.
So basically, I'm HR or I am in finance at the department, and I make sure that as I pay 10 people, 5 other salaries go somewhere to a relative or to me.
Yeah. Let me tell you, Fresh, you even called them when you said burial and ghosts. For a moment, I was lost. He came late after that. By the way, dead people.
Also, the light is on.
Dead people, if they're not ancestors, they are ghosts. African people, it's either you are a ghost or you are an ancestor. I wonder if there's neutral ones somewhere there. But Fresh, the rules are there, the regulations are there. I have previously mentioned that the Treasury of the Republic of South Africa, it's like its agency. SARS is the what do you call it? South African Revenue Service is the agency of the Treasury, of Ministry of Finance. They are some of the best ran entities or department of the state. The systems are in order. So obviously, and the rules are very clear. The Treasury has a regulation on how salaries are being handled. And they even give the payroll masters guidelines of how to do it. You know, like for example, if the government pays you or a government entity pays you at the end of the month, as an example, or in government departments is the 15th, 15 days before payday.
Yes.
The paymaster is supposed to start, because his job is, that's why I call the payroll master. You are supposed to start compiling the payroll before, 2 weeks before. Once you have done it, you take it to the chief financial officer to sign out those people. The chief financial officer takes it to either, if it's an entity, the CEO or the commissioner or the DG of government, to say, yes, as the accounting officer, I'm signing off that these are my employees, these are their salaries. They cross-check those things. There's how to cross-check them. You check. And the government is no longer using manual. It is in systems that are provided for by CETA and SARS.
Yeah, you think it would be easier to do this with the technology?
Yes, it will pick it up. Now, the reason at the opening of statement I said, those who are in charge of the payroll, the HR, and signing off are the ones who are ghosts or paying ghosts, because you will need them to do that. Without them as accounting officers, payroll officers, HR officers, without them, this is not doable. It is not possible. And even if you have 5,000 employees, these employees, they get salaries. Let's say 1,000 of them are ghosts. Now, does the ghost have a SARS account? What do you call it? Pardon me. The pay as you earn tax reference number. You understand? You must be pay as you earn. So somebody's at SARS as well. Let's pay as you earn. Taxation for every month. How did that happen? How did they get it? How was it verified? That's the first part.
Sure.
The second part is the budget of state entities and departments. It's mainly based on the heads.
On the data already available.
On the data that's available.
Yes.
For example, do you know that people have been complaining that the public service salary is bigger than the actual work? So, you know, public servants, we are paying ourselves, but we are not doing the work. Now, which work was done for Mr. X and Ms. B to deserve the salary? That's the first part. So let's look at things that can be done. The third part is no government employee in the Republic of South Africa. And by the way, did you hear how much the figure is? 1 billion.
Yo.
1 billion.
Let's say let's go.
It's gone to non-existing employees. Now, where is the money paid? We don't earn by checks. Actually, I started working for government in 1993. I was not even paid by check at that time.
Yeah.
The money gets deposited into a bank account. Whose bank account? It's easy to track and trace these people. The banks have
So
what
follow
you
the
call
money trail.
Follow the money trail, you will get who the ghosts are. Understand? They will clip it inside because they've got the power. They will close it up. But if the SIU or investigators, because we've been talking about ghost employees in government for many years, it's not a new thing. Now that they've clocked 1 billion that they can account for, it's only now, and then there's a GNU, there's ministers from other departments, there's deputy ministers from other departments. They are only now waking up. These guys have been paying themselves. I'm not making any allegation against anybody, but I'm saying, applying my mind, knowing the system and the procedures and the laws of the country. The Financial Intelligence Center Act, the Bank Act, and what to open a bank account, actually it's now linked, because South African Revenue Services can now check your bank account and say, hey, Fresh, we've been declaring 100 rand, but we see 150 went into account. Can you come and explain the 50 rands? Now, how with all those systems they can't, because those who are supposed to be custodians and vanguards of that system, I put my head on the block. If proper investigations are made, you will find that actually they are the ghost workers, whether they use their family members, their trusts, and their companies. But I don't buy it that we have ghost workers. We don't have ghost workers. We have corrupt criminals in the system, and they are stealing from the system.
through ghost workers.
Well, we call them, what is that? For me, it's corruption. There's
Yes,
nothing.
sir.
There's no way in this republic you can pay a non-existing person. Those people exist. They've
Sure.
got SARS numbers, whether faked or not. They've got IDs or passports or work permits, and they've got bank accounts where the money is going.
And there are enough clever systems globally that this should be nipped in the bud after the first salary goes out. That shouldn't be going out.
Yes.
I mean, how are other administrations doing it globally?
Yeah.
That now are dealing with this month in, month out, year in, year out, ghost worker. I mean, a billion rand going to people that did not put in not even a day of work is a problem. It should be treated as a crisis.
Oh, by the way, some of the people classified as ghost workers, and that's why I say I don't like using the word ghost workers, are people who are known, who exist, but they're just sitting at home. Some of the people which, they investigated found, it's people sitting at home for 2-3 years. They're not working, they're not putting anybody, they're continuing to get salaries.
They're waiting for due process.
Yes, they're waiting for due process to end. And look, we know that what politicians do, or people who are politically appointed, they sometimes when they don't like a person, they just put on suspension and pay you a salary until your contract ends. I've had a CEO who was sitting at home for 2.5 years, and he earned his salary in full all the time while they were investigating whether he was corrupt or not, but he was getting the salary. And then there was a CEO, like now, part of the ghost workers is what President Ramaphosa has created with 2 police ministers and 2 deputies. So Mkhwanazi is a ghost worker, actually, because he's getting a full salary sitting at home. In terms of how they define ghost workers, it's people who are known, who are in the system, but they are not doing any work for whatever reasons.
No,
for various
ghost
reasons.
workers are people who are non-existent. That's why it's a ghost. They're non-existent, you don't see them, but the money is disappearing.
Yes, but I'm saying in listening to the parliamentary debates, them who are ghost workers, they also list people who are sitting at home. There are people who work for government who have been at home since what do you call it, that lockdown, COVID-19.
Yes.
They never went back to work. They never went back to work. They're sitting at home. There are people, I'm sure there are people at my workplace who call me a ghost worker because technically since I'm not getting any salary.
You're not a ghost worker because when about wants is a ghost.
Yeah. That's what they did. But yeah, Fresh, I think we can do better as a countryman. It's administration.
We're running out of time.
Yes,
let's go to the United Nations. The committee, the UN Committee on Genocide says Israel meet 4 of the 5 criteria to say that genocide is being committed under international law. And this is since occupation began. And it actually upsets me is the fact that October 7 is used almost as some justification of anything. And my argument always is October 7 did not happen in a vacuum. So Israel have been on this project since 1948, if anything.
Yeah.
So we can't look at October 7 as if it is some unicorn that just showed up out of nowhere and has no context.
Look, October 7, I don't like the date. My first ex-wife was born October 7. We got married October 7th and we divorced October 7th.
Yo, so you've been about, when are you're a victim of a
marital genocide.
A matrimonial genocide.
So, Fresh, yeah, I think you are right, DJ Fresh, because one, the paper trail, the historical records, and it's something you are passionate and you always talk about. The United Nations Committee on Genocide, which has started investigating this about a year ago. Look, it took them less than a year to come with this clear recommendation and decision, because it's a recommendation to the UN General Assembly and the SG of the UN. They have listed that actually the number of genocide activities that Israel, in any form or the other, because as you said, Genocide Convention of 1948, it has 5 elements that are listed. And it's actually a United Nations Convention. It's like a treaty of the... They list 5. And this committee says Israel has met 4 of the 5.
Yeah.
Because you can commit genocide not only militarily, but actually even, for example, denying people access to food and water, causing famine, and malnutrition and all that is part of genocide, militarist genocide, denying people exit, like putting them in jail, because that's what Palestine is. Palestine is actually an open-air prison.
Yeah, it's a concentration camp of
Yes, the concentration camp.
And it's been worse over the past 2 years.
And it gets worse. Now, you deny them access to the outside world. You deny them to practice their own rights. You kill them through all means. You kill them in hospitals, in kindergarten, in schools. You attack on journalists who are trying to expose that you are, or reporting that you are committing genocide. But I think it's a little too late, Fresh. You know, I read that report partially, but indeed, because it's big and it's detailed. Do you know that I counted that since 1948, there were 34 genocide attacks on Palestine by Israel. Since 1948, that's only the 1948, the year. But this records since 1947, when they first occupied Palestine, how they occupied Palestine, helped by the British, and then moving forward up until 2025, up until this week. 1948 only, in that year, there were 34 genocidal attacks on the Palestinians by the Israelis. Now, if the UN has these records, they knew. What did they do? Why did they wait for a tiny so-called new democracy and new players on the world? Because we're new, 30 years we've been playing in the world platform. They waited for South Africa to go to the International Court of Justice, and they successfully, litigated against Israel to say they have been committing genocide. Yes, it is good for South Africa. Yes, it is good for the support of the ICJ case, because it endorses what the Republic of South Africa have said, what the Palestinians have been saying. But why now? Why when over 1 million, by the way, it's over 1 million human beings. This is actually the worst form of genocide that has ever happened in the world. Worst. It's over 1 million. Way over. And we're talking about the recorded ones. We don't know the unrecorded people.
Sure. And there are probably still people under rubble in Palestine right now.
Yes, in Gaza, yes. And even other places, because remember, Israel started taking Palestine piece by piece. It's not Gaza now. It didn't start as Gaza and Israel. And the UN come very late with this matter. And it's an unfortunate situation.
And why should we take anything the UN say seriously if they have, at every opportunity that superpowers show aggression, the UN are toothless in dealing with it. They're unable to deal with it. They don't deal with it. And all we get are platitudes. All we get are, we condemn this in the strongest possible. All we get is, this is against international law. But they don't care. They keep showing you a middle finger, and you still do nothing about it. No. So why should we care now that you're opining on whether this is a genocide or not? And we keep hearing people talk about a two-state solution. There's only one state, guys. The visitors must behave like visitors.
Yes.
They must behave like visitors.
And now there's
only one state. And then you can't turn around and say Israel is the only democracy. No, there's only one state. And the people that own that land can't even vote.
But
so you're not a democracy.
What does democracy has to do with occupation? Why didn't they say that in South Africa?
Democracy is treated almost as this, we are more civilized than other people.
But then let them go and occupy China. Let them go and occupy, China is too big for them. Let them go and occupy North Korea, because there's no democracy there. Why are they not doing that?
And my point is, why I believe it should be a one-state solution is because there are people who own the land that has been occupied. And if you don't like operating in fairness, then go back to Eastern Europe where you're from.
Exactly. And sadly, as I've said earlier, the Genocide Convention, it's a convention of 1948.
Yes.
And it came as a result of the Jewish people Holocaust in Eastern Europe, particularly in Germany. Because of that,
you think
you formed a law, a treaty.
But also you'd think they'd have the empathy and the emotional intelligence to be better people, given where they are from.
And there are Jews that were there during the Holocaust that are still alive today. I've seen sympathizers. But you generally think, for example, that we will teach our children that apartheid is a bad thing. They should never do what the racist white supremacists have done to black people in South Africa. That we have that responsibility. Now imagine if tables are turned and we teach our children to go and oppress and suppress the minority in South Africa, you understand? And that's what happened there. These people, first of all, they are not even the indigenous people of Palestine.
Yes.
At least we are indigenous. We can claim our land. We can repossess our land from white people who got that land illegally since
Yes.
1652 or even 1498. You understand? We can do that. We have a right to that. The Israelis have zero right towards the land of Palestinians. They have zero. They are guests and they were welcomed by human beings called Palestinians.
In fact, they're not even welcomed.
They were forced.
You were
into
told,
the- yes,
sorry, nice house. Now get out. I'm taking
accommodate
it.
other people.
The Palestinian families that went on holiday or they went visiting other people at the time and came back to find people on the
People in
property.
their houses, yes.
People in the houses.
And as you
Yo,
said,
guys.
a normal human being would have developed empathy because the Jews were put through what the world think is the worst thing that has happened to the world. I don't think it's anywhere near apartheid, what happened during the Holocaust. I don't think it's anything near what their offsprings are doing in Palestine. It's nowhere near that. And they were stopped. You know, the Holocaust, perpetrators, they were stopped before they could do the worst things.
Yeah.
Now, this one, instead of taking a lesson that you don't treat another human being like that, you go and you breed. I never knew that evil people or when they say Satan, when we grew up, they used to show this ugly, horrible man with that fork that
Yes.
they're going to roast you. I think we're not aware that Satan is sitting somewhere in the Holy Land. You understand? I don't think there's any human being, even my favorite orange man to call Donald Trump, I think he's more insane than evil. You understand? He's a supremacist who's insane. He's not evil. I don't think there's any human being on earth who is as evil as Benjamin Netanyahu. And I don't think that the Israelis, especially those in the military and the defense force, are normal human beings. You can see it normal to snipe a child, to bomb a vehicle. Did you see what they did? Now Palestinians are being pushed out. This last 2 days, they bombed even vehicles carrying children to the what do you call it, refugee camps.
But, even this ground operation that's happening right now under the guise of we're going to smoke Hamas out.
Yes.
And that 1 million people must walk and evacuate Gaza City, and that we will create a passage for them to get out. Where must they go? And the fact that they're walking in there with their tanks and demolishing buildings that are still standing,
Yes.
for me says this is not about Hamas. For me, this is about we need the land.
Yes.
And if we can demolish this with arms and ammunition that we're not even paying for,
Yeah.
then it's easier for us to rebuild this place and turn it into part of this greater Israel project.
Yeah,
That's what
well,
I'm seeing.
American-Israel project of creating, what do they call it, a holiday resort in
Yes, Riviera.
a Riviera, yes.
But the long and the short of it is Israel doesn't want peace. Israel does not give a damn about brown people. Palestinians are in the way of the greater Israel project, and the world will continue to watch. And it's a damn shame that the world of great thinkers with great leaders are paralyzed at the sight of Israeli aggression, Israeli racism, and Israeli apartheid. It's actually sickening
One of
that
my sons,
world leaders watch and do nothing. And it's one thing to say two-state solution, but the aggressor right now is not bearing any consequences. Your platitude is actually tired now.
Fresh, one of my sons asked me this week, because my kids watch the podcast.
Yeah.
It's like, that, tell me, why did they choose? Why is only Israel attacking Palestine? I said, no, they are taking at least 14 countries.
Yeah.
I said, but why are they driving Palestinians out? Why was Palestine chosen, not any other country in the world?
Because it was promised to them 3,000 years ago.
But despite that, no, that's what they do.
And they're victims.
Thinking, and why is America stopping everybody everywhere who's seen as a terrorist, but Israel is not a terrorist? And what President Trump have said, they want to turn it into a holiday resort, and in fact they will accommodate them somewhere, maybe in Egypt. Let them go to Africa. I think it's a bigger plan, actually, of the United States. They wouldn't just arm Israel every day like this. It's a bigger plan of the United States to have a country they own in the Middle East. Because at the moment, they're sitting with 10,000 military personnel in Qatar. And I think they just want to be there full time. And it's the only place on earth that is very close to them achieving that objectives. It's a long-term American objective.
And we're out of time.
Yeah, okay, let's...
So tell us your views, tell us your thoughts, agree, disagree. Maybe you have an alternative view on everything that we've discussed. Botsang, where do we find you on social media?
botsangm@gmail.com,
Yeah.
at botsangm and all social media handles, and 083-884-7787 on WhatsApp.
Thank you for watching another episode of Wow What a Week, #PoliTricks, coming to you from Discover TV in Fourways, Johannesburg. Hit them up, book the studio, use the studio, you will not regret it. Trevor and his crew at Pezulu Works also do weddings, events, music videos. Whatever you are shooting, Trevor and his crew can turn into a movie. So get in touch with Pezulu Works. Shout out to Keletso Mudisa King. She's our executive producer. And most importantly, you. Keep commenting, keep sharing, and keep telling people who we are, where we are, and subscribe, like. Until next week, have a wow week in spite of yourselves. We're out of here. Thank you.